want to talk a little bit about the heart-hand and mind-mouth connection. When your words hold weight and the way you express yourself is genuine, when you say things not to appeal, and your words manifest into actions too, that's what both of those concepts that I've just mentioned involve exactly. So the heart-hand connection is this idea of what you truly believe internally at the core is what you'll act on and actually do and fulfill. You ever come across people that perhaps say things because everyone knows what the right thing is to say now? We all know. For the most part, we know what's acceptable, we know what's okay to say, I guess. But does our heart actually believe what we're saying? Do we really feel it at the core? Do we sincerely believe what we're claiming? And that's why sometimes, if your heart-hand connection is very, very, very low, or abysmal, then your words hold no weight. They really don't. It kind of goes back to that age-old saying of, be the change you want to see in the world, or practice what you preach. So if you truly believe it, you'd be living it. Lead by example, people. We gotta start bringing these back. That's how you can assess. I guess it's a weird test of whether you do feel like you firmly believe what you say because you actively practice it. The mind-to-mouth connection is with regards to expression, which I guess is the process and step before even the heart-hand connection. Because the heart-hand connection is practicing it, right? And actually bringing it to fruition. The mind-mouth connection is you formulating something in your mind and then professing it and just putting it out into the world. And the stronger your mind-mouth connection, the better your expression is, but also the more, again, the more substance in the world weight your words hold. You have more credibility because you're somebody who doesn't feel the need to say things that aren't somewhat well thought out or aren't within your own mind, that you haven't pondered on to some degree. It also entails this idea of when you speak, yes, it's somewhat well thought out, but it's not overly filtered to make it acceptable. It's something I have with every relationship I have, be it platonic or non-platonic. I know for a fact, when I say things to people, they know it's coming from within, deep within. You feel it right away. So when I'm speaking to you, not thinking about saying things to appeal or saying things to be accepted. I'm saying what's truly in here. You can't see what's in here because I'm pointing at my head, but you know, my noggin's full of... it's my mental. That's what I'm trying to say. All of these things not only allow you to demonstrate genuine intent and realness and authenticity, but it also is a reminder to yourself that you truly believe what you believe to sit to. Because that thought in your mind travels from your mental to your mouth, and you profess it and you say it with conviction. And after that, you practice it from the heart-hand connection, because not only is it deep-rooted in your mind now because you formulated it, you believe it. And the more you believe it, the more you'll want to practice it. And that's how you know it's in your heart. These things come from a place of not only creation and formulation of a thought or a belief, and practicing said thought or belief or action, but it's also from a perspective of communication. Because you know for a fact now it's an irrefutable fact that you are sincerely going down the route. Oh my god, he just wrecked me. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so into the game all of a sudden. It just started. You know, it's an irrefutable fact that when you start behaving in such a fashion or manner which allows you to not only be so expressive and be somewhat unfiltered, it's also coming from a real place within. And that, inadvertently, actually allows you to unlock better expressive nature. You just gotta do it a couple of times with people you truly care about. And once you're not accepted, but I guess you realize you're gonna be okay, because there's something daunting about doing this initially. I remember it. I was a teenager, I think. It's like, because, you know what I mean? You want to be accepted, you want to be liked, and being likable is super important. You can't just be this vicious, mean, antisocial, moody human being, because then your message and your words aren't really given any kind of mindful ear. People just assume you're this very mean person who just thrives off people's misery or causing grief or friction. But the moment you do it, people accept it and you realize it. And you're like, oh, okay. That felt good. I didn't have to sugarcoat my words. I didn't have to put things in a overly decorated fashion or sensationalize it to some degree. Like, I didn't have to do any of this. It was just raw, honest from the heart and my mind. And boom. People feel it. I feel like there's something about it. I remember the first time I experienced it from the expression of somebody that I knew. And she was older than me, and I remember her talking to me in such a way where I was like, I've never had such a honest conversation. And I don't mean like the stereotypical deep conversation that every person wants at least once in their life. I mean, like, I can't remember what we were discussing in particular, like what subject matter it was. But I could just, it's like her words went through, like they just hit my mind immediately. And I knew she meant every word. There was none of this second guessing or doubt within me. And I was able to receive it because you could just tell there was not only conviction, but my best interest at heart. And that's something I think we all got to try doing in them moments. Where it's like when you're speaking, for sure, be super organic and authentic and don't think about appealing. But have the person's best interest at heart and always make them aware. That's what we've got to do. Make people aware. If you're speaking from a perspective of just thoughts or critiques or evaluating things or discussion, it doesn't matter. It could be super intense or it could be super mellow, whatever it may be. But just make the person recognize that you're speaking from a place of ultimately love. Because that's what it all really comes down to, right? We're all on the same team. We don't want to cause friction with the people we care about. We're trying to have a good time. But that doesn't mean that we should be mindless and just say things that are either super disingenuous or untrue, or try peacekeep. Because trying to make peace or keep the peace at the expense of authenticity and genuine nature, just not worth it, man. It really isn't. Because then we get to this state that we're at now where we can't even give any kind of credibility to most conversations we have, because we don't know if somebody's speaking because they're a prisoner to validation or because it's how they truly feel. It's hard to gauge that sometimes. I want to be accepted.
5 kills remaining.
Developing that mind to mouth and heart to hand connection, you gotta start with yourself. You believe something truly and firmly, you gotta start implementing it, you gotta start vocalizing it, you gotta start living it. And if you already are doing those things, boom. The one people primarily struggle with, I believe, is the mind to mouth connection, because we all kind of suck at communicating. But it's also trying to get over the fact that it's hard to identify sometimes if we're being genuine. It's tough, but it's worthwhile. Speak sincerely, man. But don't say things you don't mean. As a minimum, don't say things you don't mean or firmly believe. Just what you do. Until next time, guys.